Hells can sing that for the intro.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
Do it, do it, do it. All right.
Welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is September 19th, 2023. We are within a day and some change of the federales and their rate decision. All expectations are, and will continue to be, that rates will not increase, that they will be basically on hold pause. Messaging is what is said to be important. So yeah, Bender. Not a whole lot in between, man. Not a whole lot in between.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that we're in this holding pattern. I think what's weird when you get environments like this and you get price action like we did yesterday, and then this morning it's like, oh, give me a half a reason to sell, and they're going to sell. Not even a half a reason. Give them just, anything, and they're going to sell. It begs the question. It's like that we always ask two things, right? What is and is not priced in? And two, are we seeing accumulation or distribution?
Or nothing. Or waiting.
Well, obviously something's going on. If you look at certain tickers like NVIDIA, well off of its highs, Apple, well off of its highs. There's a lot of these tickers that are AMD, just well. Microsoft, right back to that buy zone in the high 20s. It's like the question is that I was thinking about yesterday into the morning is like, what are we looking at? Because if they're using this Fed event like a catalyst, which it would appear that they are, because price action has been so just grotesque, what's the next move? Is it higher or is it lower? And it becomes really interesting when you start pairing against some of the flow. I know I see a lot more downside stuff coming through than I do upside stuff. I know that. But when you get around OpEx, you get squirrely stuff. And the days after OpEx, you get squirrely stuff. So from a chart standpoint, if you were the ultimate market maker and you're coming into a binary event like tomorrow, leaving the charts into it and putting in what zone, where would you want to leave it in order to make sure that you're accumulating, or where do you want to leave it if you're distributing? You have the charts there. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are it would be right around here. We're at the midpoint of this low to this high. We're hovering right at 50%, right at the midpoint, right? If I was going to do evil work going into this, I would sell it. I have no idea what they're going to do, right? But I would sell it a little bit lower, and use the fear going into this to induce some selling, and then rip it higher. That's what I would do. If Fed comes out and says pause, I think that's the turning point, and we end this consolidation phase and move higher. Now, obviously, there are things that can be said that things that can happen that negate that. But if I'm the market maker and I'm trying to do evil work, making sure all the pink polo boys are getting paid, that's what I'm doing. I'm pulling it down into here, and I'm going to continue to grind and wear everybody out until that announcement comes out.
Yeah. It's like yesterday talking about wearing out. It's like I was worn thin. Oh, yeah. There was nothing left.
And I think that was the intention.
Like literally nothing left. And then watching the price action this morning, same thing. It's just like, oh my goodness. Can you do a more controlled sell off of air? The answer is yes, we can. We most certainly can.
And the good news is that, you know, we're set up for the same kind of garbage today. We had same scenario. London session took out the Asian session highs and lows. We have another potential seek and destroy type day. Yesterday was valid. And we're set up for more of the same. Obviously, you know, as we talk about, like, anything can happen, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if we get more of that. I honestly, I would like, again, sort of ideal scenario would be we get the low today. And then they pull it back up, maybe near that 50% level, and hold it there, you know, either this afternoon or tomorrow going into that announcement. So with that said, as far as levels go, obviously not much has changed since yesterday. I started on the daily, and we've got this fair value gap right here sitting just below 44.81.5, which is the low of this candle that before that, you know, crazy run up. So a dip down into here would fill in this volume imbalance, which is a daily volume imbalance. So as of yet, you know, we haven't laid a candle over it. Something to note on that is that it can take, obviously, a long time. I mean, we've still got one down here that's unfilled. Sometimes, you know, they go unfilled for a long time. So it, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, this one down here doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to come down and we're going to fill it in. But, you know, maybe they pull it down into this daily fair value gap. Maybe. I don't necessarily see a scenario where we're going to be back down here sniffing, you know, 4,400. We could, but that's not really what I'm looking for. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, maybe they pull it a little bit lower and kind of hold it in this area in here. But, you know, maybe we get 100 points down, and then they pull it back up. I'm not really sure, but going back to the 15 minutes. So this is where that fair value gap sits on the daily, which is not far from here. What, about 18 handles or so? We've got the pre-market and London session high up here, 45.09, just a little bit lower than where we topped out yesterday, 45.14.5. And then we've got kind of this being the buy side up here, 45.19. Obviously, that move up yesterday took us into this 15-minute fair value gap. We were talking about that yesterday, the fact that we were kind of wedged in between some of these, right? You got the 15-minute fair value gap here. Looking at I think it was the 5-minute. I don't know. One of these time frames, we were basically wedged between this 15-minute, the top of this one, which you can see clearly on the 5-minute as well. Right there, we were kind of wedged between that and this fair value gap in here, and then you've got a bunch of crap over here. So there wasn't anything yesterday for me that gave any sort of clear direction. And if we're gonna do more of that, I'm gonna do the same thing that I did yesterday, which is essentially avoid. I don't want to trade this kind of crap. I don't want to get chopped up. I don't want to get stuck in it. I'd rather just wait until, we get a run on liquidity, whether it's higher or lower. Okay, so we just now took out basically everything from this morning. This was your sell side right in here. It just took that out. So we'll see if they do the whole couple ticks below and then push higher, or if they want to come down here to this 44.87 and take that out. That line orange. I really don't have much else to go on, Hells.
But it's like if
again,
you and me
same
both,
shit
it's
as
like
yesterday.
I have nothing to give other than we're waiting. I have nothing but looking at these charts and then knowing the price action, what it's been this morning. It's been disgusting all the way around, and I say disgusting from the standpoint there's no feel to it. You can't get, there's not a comfort on any of these candles. And so with that said, it's like spin it to Sunny, spin it to Stonk, and let's get in and see what they're going to do to us.
Yeah, I think one last thing, just to reiterate what I was, what I said yesterday during the day, which is like, we see this sort of price action a lot when we're waiting on something like this, right? These big decisions, we tend to chop around. Sometimes we get a big move like on a Monday, and then we chop around.
Yeah, but one of the things I will say, it's like if we run into a data point or a binary event, odds are we pound to the upside thereafter, because there's an accumulation and a buildup into the event. This feels like the exact opposite. This feels like I want out of a lot of shit going into this event, and then see what happens next.
And that
it's a totally different feel.
So think about that and the potential of what that sets us up for, right? Not saying that we get it, but if that's what's going on, and there's some numbers behind what you're saying. Some of the just looking at the dollar flow and things like that, there's certainly been an increase in short positions, a decrease in long money. But ultimately, it sets us up for a possible scenario where, the data that we get tomorrow is the market likes it, and now everybody's going to play catch up. And
yeah,
again, as we know, they could sell the shit out of it tomorrow, and spend
the rest of the night buying it back.
Well, yeah, or I have no idea what's going to come out of this. I just know that if the market likes what it hears, and there has been this decrease in long positions and increase in short positions, that creates a scenario that could have us sniffing 4,800 pretty quick. 4,600, within a day or two. It kind of opens the door to that. Again, if the market likes what it hears, then everybody's got to play catch up for a time period that is, from a seasonality perspective, we're coming into that period of time that is typically strong. So coming into October, end of September into October, seasonality suggests that some point we will get a, more often than not, we get a move higher into the end of the year. So just a scenario that could play out. And that's about all I got.
All right, Sonny, what you got?
Or are you going to wait?
Oh man, I'm not. It's like I know what's out there.
So I think the biggest news for today is Instacart's IPO is today. They're priced at 30 a share, probably opens up a little bit higher. Target said they're looking to hire about 100,000 workers for the holiday season. Southwest is guiding down for Q3 because they said the union contract plus the oil prices. Basically, all the airlines are blaming oil prices are going up higher, so we need to jack up the prices coming into the holiday season. Interestingly enough, UAL and DAL are keeping their projections, whereas all the other ones are lowering it down. Google is adding their ChatGPT rival to Gmail, YouTube, everything else. For the enterprises, they have put a price on it, so there may be some headlines coming on that. I think it was $30 per user per month. So there may be, they talk about those headlines again, even though the pricing was known. And last week or so, I had mentioned about Airbnb issues, like they can't be listed in New York City. So today they put out some numbers, like their listings are down 75% in New York City. I think this may spread to other bigger cities. We may see some effects of that in the near future. Upgrades. So we have Square, Block, even though their CEO resigned, saw a little dip, but Wedbush is neutral on it. Price target 70. Crocs, RCL, CCL. So yeah, that was interesting. RCL, CCL. We saw some put flow later last week. Now they both have gotten upgrades. So we made some upside on that. CVS, also an upgrade. And SMCI, they were at an analyst day yesterday. So Barclays initiated the coverage with overweight and price target of 327. Downgrades, the DE, CAT, because there some farming numbers came out, the projections are lower, which makes sense. You're going into the winter season, so farming is always lower. Yeah, coming to that. Other one is Starbucks because of some issues in China and PLNT. They did the executive shuffling around. The CEO left, and so they got a downgrade. On the event side, a lot of investor days today. So the bigger one is INTC. Their Innovation 2023 starts and makes sense. It's at the end of 2023. Pins, SMCI, ENVX, IONQ. So these are all movers. I've seen, like, if you get flows, they do get some movement. SOUN, they are also at the Northland Capital Markets Conference to keep a flow on the AAOI also. And on the dark pool side, nice dark pool into BA, 205.12, about 16% that came in, and some of it into the Chinese names. Neo did an offering yesterday, so they're down. They also put out their delivery numbers, and that's it. Yeah.
I think BA flow might be interesting. We looked at that chart yesterday.
Yeah.
Definitely a curious spot to lay a dark pool in. That's for sure.
Yeah. And it's a big one too. I mean, like almost 16%. So
yeah,
that's pretty interesting on that. Yeah.
Good catch there. Stonk, what you got, buddy?
All right, let's get into some stuff. I'm ready. Here we go. Get some sharing. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. We can just do a blank look. Well, almost blank. But the cues, we had the double weekly inside bars that we looked at yesterday, which we fell out of the bottom of just barely and pushed it back up. So again, reminder, failed breakout. Hikake shiitake would be if we break last week's high. So if it was a failed breakout, we already lost the low and we're hanging on by a thread in this area. So we've got an alert that will pop SPX as well if we were to break the weekly inside bar to the upside. So we jump over to the NASDAQ with all the markup on it. Let's see, we can kind of do Bender style, start on the daily. We've got a lot of similarities here. Let's see, we've got volume imbalance. Bender noted those very similar on the ES. Fair value gap below, this candle's high to this candle's low, and then the fair value gap above is going to be this candle's high to this candle's low, the gold boxes. Jump over to the 4 hour. We've got new week opening gap line that worked as support yesterday. 4 hour candle bodies respecting until now. We're hanging out just below. We've got this wedge going that we rejected. So I wonder if they would maybe run it back, test that again. And then I've got, if we're going to make a move that direction, this is going to be a key level as well above 15,441.25. You can see, excuse me, all these candle bodies respecting that line there. So we'll see what we get, and then if we can get cooking to the upside, we've got above 15,531 is the bottom of this daily fair value gap, and then the rest of this sell also looking unbalanced there. Jump over to the Russell. So we had this guy's stop that has now been taken, and so they're kind of sitting it there on this line. So next, if we're going to push to the upside, I'll be looking for the reaction to this level here. We had, little bounce, see little bounce. So basically, these would have been bullish order block lines because they brought it to this price to rip it. So now that we're operating below, I'd want to see us push back up through that. And next, we've got the new week opening gap. And then we've got this kind of megaphone trend line. If we just kind of keep holding this to the downside on the Russell, and then got some fair value gaps above as well. So we'll see what we get over there. Again, possible holding pattern as we've been talking about with the Fed. And we'll take a look at Apple. Going to keep an eye on this one today, as we usually do. We've been rejecting a round number psych level up at 179 flat. We want to see us pop and hold that to get going to the upside. Below, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this 177.45. We can see resistance. Now let's see if we get support. It's been a key level in the past. A lot of reactions to this 177.45 on Apple. Meta also had a good dark pool last night. That one came in. We're sitting on it. That's going to be this 301.57. That's 6.2% from yesterday. So if we hold that, I'd be looking to see what we do up here at 305, round number, psychological level, resistance, support, see what they do with it. If we lose and start pushing to the downside, this looks like the next level, and that's a pretty obvious one, right? It's 300 round number, psychological level, and it's got a lot of reactions there. So if we lose last night's dark pool, 301.57, be watching for that psychological round number 300. And that is all I've got.
Well, thank you there, Stonks. Look, it's like, there you have it. It's all I can really say, man. It's like yesterday was yesterday, today is today, kind of feels the same. Just if you look at how these candles, and Bender was showing on his chart, just how it's a slop fest. There is direction. You can catch moves. You just have to be really, really careful in what you're doing. And if you're wrong, you need to know what your wrong actually is. I think it's kind of exacerbated a little bit more in situations like this. That's all I have. We have about 14 minutes until open. Guys, you have anything else?
I'm good.
No,
Just watching the crude is moving up pretty fast, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's
All
it.
right. Let's have a good day.
all right. See you in a few.